Letters from the front lines. August 5th, 1940. After our unit cleared the road out of Sevastopol, we were quickly redeployed to assist with the operations securing eastern Crimea. En route, we were waved down by a farmer by the roadside with his daughter, just outside their family farm. The man was Russian, a minority in this region, and offered us cigarettes in exchange for news from the front. Though we kept anything classified to ourselves, we expressed our hopes that we would liberate the rest of Ukraine within the year. The man, pleased to hear this, said he hoped so, that he and all of Ukraine had been under the Skoropadsky dictatorship for too long, and that he hoped he could soon cast his vote for a better tomorrow once we were united again. After passing some chocolate to the young girl, we headed off to catch up with the remainder of our unit. It's good to be reminded of what's worth fighting for. August 10th, 1940. On our way back to the front after our victory in the east, we passed by that old farmstead where we exchanged kind words with a local farmer, hoping to let him know the good news from Kirch. As we approached, we saw the smoldering ruins of the house with no one inside. After a quick search, our commander discovered the bodies of the inhabitants in the nearby barn, the only remaining structure on the site. The commander forbade anyone else to enter, stating that it would do us no good to see them like that. On the side of the barn were written words in the local Ukrainian dialect, painted in red. Artem, the only member of the unit from the region, was able to translate. Collaborators. This was the first time I realized that one man's liberator is another man's conqueror. Dear Mother, I don't think the censors will mind me saying this, but I'm sorry if it gets redacted. Mother, we're at the gates of Odessa. It's been a hard fight though. Just yesterday, Kapitan Popov was shot dead, dragging Yefreitor Antonov out from under fire. When I first got put into this unit, I hated that man, but as we fought, I grew to respect him. He was hard on us, but he cared for us too. He wasn't the kind of officer who chased glory at his men's expense. Once, when I was on guard duty, I saw him watching as two of our men were carried away. I think there was a tear in his eye. I miss the Kapitan, but Yefreitor Antonov is alive because of him, and they say Kapitan Popov will get a medal for saving him. Like I said, Mother, it's been hard going, but I'm proud to fight for the Republic, for the Tsar, for the motherland. We will endure. We always have. That's what makes us Russian. Love, Ivan. Partisan activity in Ukraine, in the occupied territory, is certainly on the rise, not the least from a League of Ukrainian Nationalists, a very far-right group that has very specific ideas about certain things. Meanwhile, we have a decision to make, and I think there was no particularly strong opinion in the comments from last time. This was about the Sturmoviks, and I think I'm going to stick with, after reviewing this, I'm really not entirely certain where the bonuses necessarily apply to, and it's a separate company. So I am going to go with the intelligence and the engineer company. We'll see if this actually works. So what I'm thinking that is going to happen, we'll explore this together because I've never seen this before. So currently, the engineer support company provides 4.3 entrenchment. Apologies, my voice is a bit creaky. I am slightly under the weather. And this should, if I see that correctly, it does change the... It says Assault Engineer Sapper Battalion. So that would be line, not support company. But it does say that it changes the entrenchment by 200% of the engineer company. So I don't know if that means that we have to put a specific line battalion in here, which then improves the support company in return, or if it's the other way around. But we'll try this out. We'll see what happens. So right now this has 4.3 entrenchment. So if we take that decision, and we probably have to refresh that. So let's check that out again. And we have 6.3 entrenchment. Okay, so this automatically applied to everything. Okay, that's what I was kind of hoping for. And we don't have another. No, we don't have another. Let's remove that. We don't have another type of battalion, no. So I'm not sure about the phrasing there, because it did say that it was a specific type of battalion, which we don't actually have. But no, it has improved the entrenchment, and that means if we are looking at an actual guard infantry, and I have to find an entrenched guard infantry. There we go. So okay, let's find something that's been entrenched for a while. This one, yeah. Okay, so that used to be 18%, and it's now 22%. So this stacks nicely with entrenchment, but I don't actually have an entrenchment-focused build, because I'm not using the static warfare, and I'm not using the defensive-focused field marshals, which means that the impact is not that massive, but still it's 4%. It's a free 4% entrenchment, and I'll take it, especially if we are dealing with defense going forward. I always have the option to actually change this. I mean, it does cost 50 army XP to do that, but this would give 10% max entrenchment, and then I would have to probably swap out the field marshal. So currently Denikin has the offensive doctrine, and what you would want is the defensive doctrine, because that would then stack with everything else, and that's how you get to about 80% entrenchment and similar, which has massive bonuses. So that's something you could do, or I could do if necessary. But for now, we'll remain on the offensive. Now we do have multiple venues here. We're about to launch an attack on Odessa, and we have the rest of Stefan's tanks clearing out the railway connection towards Cherkasy. And then I think the next part, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've recorded. The next part was to try and capture, I think, an airport. Although I'm not entirely certain. It could have been no, I think did we take the airbase? I don't know. Or just to shorten the lines and cut the northern salient here, where the German tanks have been extremely busy recently. But we do have a few things administratively to clear out first. General Casagrande has a trade point available to him, 2 actually, and I'm going to get the scavenger trait, because that gives him equipment capture. So that consumes my command power, which is still. We've still got some upgrades to do, but we're getting through that. The other thing, and if we're looking at our logistics, we're still very short on support equipment, but we're also short on the heavy flame tanks. And since we haven't gotten the industry up and running to produce actual tank divisions, and we are still waiting. I think somebody in the comments asked for that. Why am I not yet producing the heavy tanks? That's because we're waiting for the 57mm anti-tank, which is going to give us the improved heavy cannon. So that's what I'm waiting for the actual heavy tanks. Plus, anyway, I don't have the industry for it right now. But what we can do is we have a stockpile of Su-14M self-propelled artillery guns that we could convert, instead of actually using them in the field, we could convert them into flame tanks and get the reinforcements done faster, because right now it looks like we're in for half a year until that deficit, and that's without heavy fighting along the front lines. So I think we'll convert these. That's gonna almost double the daily production, and that'll be a better use than creating a single offensive unit with these. There is a naval battle going on in the Black Sea between apparently the Ukrainian units are out and about again. So we've done less damage to the Ukrainian units than we thought. And they're chasing down the Georgian fleet with a single light cruiser and a few destroyers. But the Georgians have probably taken on more than they can chew. And the cruiser Svetlana is still under repair, so we're not yet ready to go out in action. We will have to see what we do about the Black Sea, but I think once Odessa falls, then that is going to be a mute question, because by that time the Ukrainians have no ports left to operate from, unless they find a friendly port. And I don't think Ukraine has. Do they have naval access with anybody? Superior. So Canada has docking rights. And Ukraine has docking rights in the Pacific, but that means they would have to, basically the Ukrainian fleet would have to escape, because Ukraine itself has no ports left. All right, but we are waiting for because there are a few Austrian divisions dug in here, and they are relatively well equipped. So we're going to wait until the tanks have planned that, have completed planning that attack somewhat better. And in the meantime, we're going to clear out things in the north here. All right. Other than that, we have the Kiev. Yeah, 5 days. We're not going to take Kiev in 5 days, so that's going to time out. And I think in terms of political power, we'll probably try to fill up the last remaining political advisor first. Or we could get somebody into military high command, but I'll have to have a look around who would actually be suitable. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to work there. So we are attacking here against the Ukrainian defenders, and I think after that we will move. We will use the momentum and move in. Actually, we've already taken the position, so that worked out. And it looks like the Ukrainian front lines here are breaking relatively rapidly. So what we could as well do, because we are actually fighting the 111th Infantry here, and what we could do is we could launch an assault and see if we can surround these divisions, and at the same time capture some Ukrainian fortifications on the road here, while their front lines are, well, pretty much completely broken. There is an attack out of Odessa. The Ukrainians are trying to break out, which is good news, but it also means that we can encircle Odessa and actually prevent them from escaping. So that's that. And with that, Odessa is cut off, and we have to get all divisions onto that front line, and all divisions onto the offensive. Okay, so has that? No, we're still preparing the attack. But I think at this point we'll just wait out. We'll let the Ukrainian counterattack here exhaust itself, and then we are going to swoop in and take Odessa. Any further assaults by the Germans in the north? Not really. We've deployed the anti-tank divisions along the lines where the defenses are the weakest. And it looks like Guderian might be redeploying, actually, once again. So we'll see. We keep sinking Dutch shipping, and we've captured some Cuban transports as well. So that's quite positive. And somebody suggested that we should help out Persia in the desert. We might at some point, but right now Ukraine is the important part. In terms of air, we are faced. We're still faced with a reasonable number of enemy aircraft, although in total I would say we're about on par. So our fighters are going to start shooting down, hopefully, the larger amounts of enemy support craft relatively quickly. Most of the German Air Force is deployed over northern France, and that's where the German Air Force is about 4 times the size of the Russian Air Force. So we desperately need to increase our production of fighter craft, and that's where the newly built factories will go mostly. So we're getting onto that. And we are in September, so it's going to be winter soon. Let's see if we can manage to pin down or to overrun these Ukrainians before they can escape. and we have secured the supply lines, so we can now redeploy. We'll see if we need to redeploy additional tanks towards Odessa, but the supply lines are looking clean, and we might actually push north towards Sumy instead, and shorten the lines here because the second is getting a little overstretched on their front line here. So and this position is coming under quite aggressive attacks here. If we are giving ground here in Kursk, that's not a big issue, but in general, that would be a potential for the light tank. Now that we've pretty much broken through the lines here, it's just the question: do we have supply? Sichislav. Yes, if we take Poltava, so if we cut off Poltava, and then we can swoop north towards Sumy, and that would be a thorough blow to the enemy forces. All right. Meanwhile, we're going on the counterattack into Odessa, because the Romanians are joining that as well. So let's make sure that we get there first. And yes, these divisions are encircled. So I think they will be falling here relatively quickly. And with that, we then have the Black Sea Fleet relieved. How's the situation navally in the Baltic? We're still relatively heavily mining the Gulf of Finland and the Baltic Sea, but there's relatively little traffic. So at some point we could, we don't know an awful lot about the amount of enemy ships available here, but at some point we could start becoming a little bit more aggressive with the Baltic Fleet. However, I would, before we do that, I would like to at least get some minor refits done and get some of the ships into a little bit better shape. But for that, we do need the equipment conversion tech, and I might actually research that next, because it's a useful one to have. So that's something we can do. But fighting continues in the autumn of 1940 in Ukraine, where Odessa is about to fall, and we have an opportunity here to use our tank divisions for a northern thrust. So yeah, let's see if we can break through towards and cut off Poltava. I think we have the river crossing here, so we'll deploy the tank divisions north towards Poltava, and we'll get the we're running basically through. We're getting more cores in here, and I think the last one is Badakhshan region, and then I think we are pretty much. We look at the occupation laws here. Integral. There's still two of them, so there's two territories that are going towards integration. But the resistance in what's the resistance target? 10%. Yeah. Okay, that's still manageable. Martial law is making the situation somewhat better. All right, let's see if we can manage to. Where's the supply hub? Here. Manage to take the supply position near Poltava, and then move north towards cutting off. We might have to take Poltava itself at the same time. So we've got some infantry around here, so we can use that for an assault at Poltava, which is also going to keep the Austrians from reinforcing. And with 3 tank divisions pushing north, I think Poltava is about to fall, and then we can get the tanks moving aggressively towards Sumy in the north and cut that completely off. Meanwhile, Odessa, we're going to get the infantry to assist as well. Odessa is resisting fiercely, but the enemy divisions are encircled, and unless they can always leave by sea. They might run into some mines, but it's not a very dense mine network just yet. But they will fall eventually. We have more convoys sunk. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on the convoy action in the Atlantic, but still not check everything. Paris at the same time is under threat, and I am not sure if Paris is falling, if France is going to give in. So that's the big question. How long the Commune of France still has, I think they still keep fighting even if Paris falls. But obviously it would be a severe blow to the Syndicalists. It's the German air power. They really have not much to counter that. Okay, Odessa is going to be broken relatively soon, and the rest of the 6th Army is moving north. We're about to take Poltava. The infantry is pushing in from the east. Okay, Badakhshan is now done as well, and with that, we've got. We're still moving across the river here. Infantry can assist with that. This is just to widen the line a little bit. Siam and the Qing government have ended their hostilities, okay, so that looks like Kingdom of Siam and German East Asia as well. Okay, what happened here? This is cursed. So apparently they've signed a peace deal, interestingly enough, and Burma seems to have taken a few regions inside contested territory, whereas German East Asia, I thought they would probably push on further, but okay, that's what they ended up deciding on. Much more importantly, Finland has declared on the war on the Norwegian Socialist Republic. That is a big problem. So with that, Finland is now at war with the Third International. Finland is not part of good that Finland is not part of the Moscow Accord, because that would have caused some severe diplomatic strain. So Finland has decided that they're going to take on Norway, that means the Third International is further embattled here. All right, but we have the Ukrainian front to observe. Just a quick look if anything else is falling, and a very close eye on Paris. But we have the Ukrainian front to observe, where Odessa is about to fall, and the question is who moves in first. I would argue that yes, our tanks have moved in first. Odessa has fallen, and with that the lines of supply to the Black Sea are broken, which means that the Black Sea at this point should have no further enemy shipping available to it. At least they have no ports to go to because we have taken Odessa from them. Now, there's no current direct threat to Odessa, but we could include we've got, how many divisions do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We might need a few more, but we've got 2 in Sevastopol, and they can probably spare 1 for Odessa. All right, so with that, we'll have these sorted. Now, where do we go next from here? Because we've got parts of the parts of the 6th Army that we could redeploy further. I would argue that we will bring them here, and from here we will actually push towards Kiev, while we'll leave the northern flank here as it is, with at this point the 8th Army acting as a distraction, keeping vast enemy forces pinned while we are breaking through the lines here and trying to connect the rest of it. So momentum certainly is on our side, and we'll use that to move on through the Ukrainian lines towards Kiev and along. But the bigger question will be supply. Yes, so we'll take Cherkasy actually next, which means we need to get probably, where are these tank divisions? 1, 2, 3. Okay, these need their own line actually. They need to take Cherkasy. And then the rest of them they will join the rest, and then from there we'll swoop along the river potentially towards Kiev. But first we'll clear out the salients here. So the Sumy is about to be encircled. We'll launch attacks here to ensure that the German troops aren't escaping. There are some Polish tanks here as well. But yeah, the Germans are trying to break out. But I think we are about to launch a full-scale assault from Sumy and towards the east. Meanwhile, the German Empire has decrypted our ciphers, and they will get combat bonuses for 30 days. That means we definitely need to work on cryptology. This is becoming important, so we will have to, unfortunately, once the Naval Department is done, do the cryptology department. A few battles here that we'll have to take a look at, where more Dutch convoys sunk. And there is a Dutch destroyer which has tried to chase off our submarines, but we have managed to sink these convoys regardless. So success all about, and yeah, submarine operations still successful there. We're still mining the Black Sea, which is at this point, I believe, almost unnecessary. But we never know what the Ottomans are coming up with, so we'll continue these operations. Meanwhile, can we get the... Yes, okay. We get the infantry to assist from the north, and this is a relatively strong resistance here. There's the 3rd Königlich Bayerische, as well as the Austrian 88th, a Polish division, and some Ukrainians here. So it's a hard fight, but we're bringing the rest of the armored divisions in. And we will see if we can manage to break the lines here and close the trap that we have set for the enemy. Now, 5 German divisions. We're not going to hold that diversion for particularly much longer, but we've got the remaining troops now. Okay, we have to stop the infantry assists here because they're launching an obvious desperate counterattack from the north, trying to relieve the troops that are about to be encircled here. So we have to leave that to the tanks and to the supporting infantry. So we've got, yeah, we can still get more reserves in. And an Austrian counterattack has sort of slimmed the front lines, but we're clearing the lines here. The big question is, can we manage to close the position at Sumy and break through the enemy lines here? But it looks like the German divisions are going to be able to hold this. So we'll stop the attacks for now. Especially that, and we will wait for the enemy troops to reorganize themselves. We go onto the defensive for now. Unfortunately, we are very much out of supply here because the Poltava supply line isn't established yet. So that's what we'll have to wait for now. But we have to reorganize the front lines. That is the 6th Army front lines. They have to stay in the north. All right. So we've got the 6th Army divisions positioned here, and we'll have to wait for supply from Poltava to reach us, and we'll let the front lines reorganize themselves in the meantime. The rest of the tanks have arrived, which means we can begin launching the assault on Cherkasy. And why on earth would you do this again? What are we defending? We're just defending ports. So there's absolutely no reason to attack this random position here. Go to Odessa and defend the port. That's what you're here for. All right. We might actually be pushed back from Kerch. That's not a huge issue. We can always reconnect these positions, but we do need to get supply sorted before we can before we can deal with this. There is another panzer attack, but we do have the. Where are they attacking? They're assaulting Bryansk directly at this point. That might mean we have to extend our. Yes, they seem to have found a gap there. That means we do have to extend our lines here somewhat, and get the. And we do have 2 here. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get one. We'll get the 5th anti-tank division into Bryansk to assist with the defense. And the infantry is holding, but we do have to wait for. We can't close the gap just yet, because we do have to wait for supply to arrive, and supply is how far away? Should be there by tomorrow. So the engineers have reported that supply connections should be completed by tomorrow. And at that point, we can launch another assault out of Sumy. But right now, we are we're out of fuel, low on fuel, and low on ammunition. So there's very little. There's very little we can do offensively. We'll just dig in against the counterattacks and wait for the situation to clear itself and look for opportunities. Now the Germans are. Guderian has noticed the severity of the situation, and has sent the 1st Panzer Division to reinforce the lines here. That would be, okay, supply has been established. That will be an opportunity potentially. So if the 1st Panzer if we can entrap the 1st Panzer and the 22nd Panzer here in the cauldron, then they're sending more tank divisions into the cauldron. So this is obviously a threat towards our relatively thin rear infantry lines near Poltava. But if we can manage to close the gap here, once the German armored divisions have worked themselves through, then we might be able to cut off the complete German armored spearhead. So this would be a massive strategic blunder by Guderian. It could cost him the Eastern Front completely, because if he risks his whole panzer army to break out from this untenable position, then that is going to be then if we can destroy these, that is going to be a significant victory, or I would almost argue an almost war-winning victory. But I think Guderian has noticed the severity of the situation, and they're breaking out. So let's see if we can at least trap one of them, and or 2 of them. Yeah, he's realized, unfortunately. So they are breaking out again. But we'll see if we can manage to trap some. Okay, we have the submarine. I think it's a submachine gun researched. So that slot is clear, and that gives us 5% soft attack on infantry. The PPSH-2, the 1st assault rifle, is still a bit away. But what I wanted to do was the equipment conversion. So let's get that out of the way, and that'll enable us to deal more effectively with naval refits as well. All right. Unfortunately, the 16th Panzer has escaped as well, and that just leaves the 22nd Panzer, which is still fighting, trying to retake Sumy. And now they are trying to escape. So we'll see if we can pin them in place. While we are closing the gap on them, there are just some Polish tanks trying desperately to hold the line. The fourth Polish, but they can't breach our armor, and they are so thinly armored that we can get through there without too much trouble. And with that, I think we are. Yes, with that we have managed. The 57mm anti-tank gun is complete. And Guderian had almost made a major mistake. However, they have managed to extricate their tanks in time. However, the 22nd Panzer Division has been trapped together with 8 Austrian divisions, a Polish tank, 10 Austrian divisions, a Polish tank, and 2 Ukrainian divisions. So the greater Austrian supply on that front line has been significantly reduced. and or will be significantly reduced once we clear the a complete encirclement here at Sumy. But how is the Belgrade's still standing? But yeah, the Austrians are definitely making inroads here against the Belgrade Pact, which is still in a war with Greece as well. And oh dear, so Paris still stands, but the complete north of France is breaking. So Le Havre has fallen, Cherbourg is under threat, and I think the German-Dutch occupation of northern France is relatively unstoppable at this point. But with the research complete of the F-40 anti-tank gun, we can now, well, we've got another, first we have some research free that we can apply, and I think I do need, yeah, I'm going to start upgrading some of the support companies here. How are we on tank research? The Astrov series of light tanks might still be interesting, but I'm also keen to get the super heavy tanks. So I think we'll do the super heavy tanks. All right, so that's underway. Obviously outdated equipment production, so we do have to get the towed anti-tank guns replaced with the 57mm, and they already have the MIO, so that's all good. So we just need to replace that. It's a very minor production. The more interesting part was for the actual tank layout. So we have the KHT 100 basic heavy flame tank still. We could build an improved flame tank, although this is probably good enough. But more interestingly enough, I'm keen to do the RV1 variant of the heavy tank. So let me design that, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, here we have the RV1 heavy tank. Major differences obviously being that it carries an actual tank turret rather than the relatively small superstructure on the RV2. But that thing is now capable of severely damaging any kind of enemy tank. So with this new heavy tank cannon, we should be able to take on all of Guderian's medium tanks without trouble with this thing. It's still very slow because it is meant to be as an infantry tank, so a bulwark. It's not meant for speed, but and the armor is actually somewhat lower than on the assault gun, because that thing basically has completely impenetrable frontal plating. It is obviously more capable of supporting a breakthrough, so these two will be working in tandem to create a heavy tank division for breakthrough. We just have to start actually producing them, which means that the RV1 is under the Potilovets designer is going to be in production, and we're probably going to need about 20 factories for that to make that happen, which means that many more factories are needed. Let's see where we can. Where do we have some? Well, the front lines are a bit more secured now, so we actually have the opportunity to build up arms industry a little closer to the lines, which is a bit safer now, and has better infrastructure than the at points slightly backwards rear. Far East has a bit of availability still. But I think that should do the trick. All right, so with that underway, we'll bring the railway artillery north towards Poltava, and then we are having the job here of clearing out these positions, and we have made it. We have taken the supply hub at Cherkasy, which means that everything on the lines here now depends basically on Kiev, more or less. So Sumy has been taken and is being held. Now the question is, can we hold the lines while the infantry begins the cleanup operations? So all rear infantry units begin cleanup operations, and then as soon as that's done, then we have massively shortened the front line of the Second Army. And the enemy being encircled as they are and cut off from supply, this should be a relatively straightforward operation. I don't think they will maintain that for very long. We have enough for an air doctrine. So this would be air superiority, mission efficiency, or ace generation chance. I'm going with... what are we currently looking at? The basic problem over Ukraine is, I think, air detection. So mission efficiency isn't particularly great, but that's mostly due to range problems, because we're not close enough that we can... We're not close enough that we can necessarily easily apply that. We do have an airport here now, however, in Kharkiv. So I think with that we can... There's an airport here in the north as well. If we take that, we can bring more aircraft to bear. So I don't think that's particularly necessary, because we will have, as we get closer to the front lines, we should have better mission efficiency. How are the aces looking on our? I'm used to actually having a few more aces than what we have now. There's one. We've got pilot Karpov, but other than that, given for how long they've been fighting, no real aces being generated. So that is, I'm going to go with the ace generation. I think that's a fighter ace initiative. We'll take that, and then we'll go down the other. For now, the Russian Air Force is in a relatively good shape. However, we don't know for how long that's going to last. So we can actually deploy the close air support wings somewhere where we can use them. I'm going to take them off for now, because there are no further incursions here really at Bryansk or anywhere else. So with that, yeah, we're going to need to improve the size of our air force massively. But for now, we will deal with the situation here, and we are waiting for heavy tanks to become available. We've got most of the 6th Army deployed here at this point, and they can assist also with clearing out these positions. Right, we've got more news from the Atlantic, where we are sinking enemy convoys quite successfully, and cutting off reinforcements and supplies. It looks like our convoy action has actually worked out really well. So the International has pushed the Entente back quite significantly. This isn't to say that they couldn't do a naval invasion from the south, but Entente reinforcements across the Atlantic have effectively been cut off by Russian submarines operating out of England. Unfortunately, though, the northern France is rapidly falling to the enemy, and the with that, once that's cleared, the Eastern Front is going to be under significant pressure. The United States of Greater Austria have taken Verona and are making inroads, although I think if for them to get to Rome is going to be a hard fight. We have experience with that area. It is not a good area to fight in. Quick look around, this situation is still stable, but yeah, we have no forces right now to deploy there to assist the Persians against the Kingdom of Egypt. So for now, we'll leave them to it. Beijing hasn't fallen yet, and Japan seems to be completely stuck in their attempt at landing or breaking through the Chinese lines here, and I'm not sure what the Siamese, I thought Kingdom of Siam was part of the the prosperity sphere. It's not. So okay, so that doesn't impact the war between Japan, the war at sea between Japan and everyone else. All right, let's get back to the front lines and deal with the cleanup operations here. We're going to get the rest of the 6th involved. And then the question becomes, where do we go from here? And I think once we have that, where do we have supply? Once we have that all connected, there's not much supply in the north here, but we could begin breaking the lines near Bryansk to overall work towards the goal of clearing lines towards Kiev here. And I think now that we have supply here, what we can use these tanks for is to where are they actually established? Can't even edit their front line. We can get them to the north of the river and begin operations to push the infantry back and clear that out. And then the rest of the tanks can move in as well. We should have supply out of Poltava, probably enough to push close to Kiev. And so with the Poltava and Cherkasy supply hubs secured, we should be able to push close to Kiev. And even if we don't have to take Kiev just yet, but I'm more interested in clearing the north and getting that sorted. Although, how far is Ukraine? Is 75% towards capitulation. It could be that they capitulate once we take Kiev, but I don't think just yet. So for now, let's focus on clearing out the positions here. We have enough naval experience to get ourselves a doctrine, and I'm actually going down the light cruiser. This is cruisers, battleships, battle cruisers. Yeah, this is where we want to be. So let's go down that line. And how far are we away from conversion? So if we're getting, that's 150 days. If we're getting the equipment conversion, then I am going to change. This is naval experience gain. I would go to naval refit yards. So we need another 35 for that in order to, plus whatever. So we'll probably save up naval experience from here, because if we're redesigning some patterns and we are going for the refits, then we're going to need some naval experience to make that happen. All right, encircled troops are trying desperately to break out. No, you're not. Trying desperately to break out from their fortified positions, but I don't see them getting particularly far. What we can do is we do have these close air support wings. We bring them here and use them in close air support over Ukraine. And hopefully they can, given the proximity, they can assist the infantry with destroying these last remnants here. The decision to take Kiev has timed out, and we have the next ace. So you see, there we go. So that was effective. All right, and with that, I think we've got the railway artillery bombarding the enemy fortifications, and there is fierce resistance from the encircled divisions. But we've got 8, 10. Okay, we can look at that in a second. We've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 16 divisions encircled here. All right, the restoration of the Amtorg, brutal civil war in America is finished. Victor finally emerging from the terrible slog of brother fighting brother. American trade is incredibly beneficial for us as a nation. There's no doubt that they are in desperate need of rebounding trade relations as well. Ideology must be set aside for once, and the flow of commerce shall resume. 50 political power, much welcome. And we get minus 10% consumer goods factories. So that has been productive. Meanwhile, Dmitry Bistrolyov was evidently detected by Ukrainian counterintelligence as he's freed the agent Kuznetsov. The last message he sent is that he noticed enemy surveillance following him and that he was going to execute evasion and escape procedures. As part of these procedures, he will naturally have broken contact with his handlers to avoid compromising. If successful, he will contact us again in a few weeks. Okay. Well, we will send Kuznetsov to take over from him. We'll send him over to Kiev, just in case he does need rescuing. All right. Lines are holding everywhere. And we now have 6 additional dockyards because the Americans are starting to build shipping for us, and I think we can get a bit of submarine production going because we are currently using submarines in the Atlantic. So obviously these submarines are potentially under threat. This would reduce the weather penalty by 20%, so that's useful. Let's do that. And okay, that looks broken. So we're going to go with B here. And actually, they were using the year, so that's the 40. All right, let's go with that. So we're going to use the additional dockyards to build some submarines. But with the additional dockyards available in the Americas, constructing shipping for the Russian Navy, we are actually in a very good spot for that. Now we do have the heavy tank MIO. What have we not taken yet here? I think we've only got soft attack or entrenchment left. It doesn't really matter. No, I'm not going to update these just yet. We'll do that next time we revisit the designer. But we now since that is done, we now have some other options here. Let's see. We don't want to attack the Ottomans just yet. This will allow us to invite further states into the Moscow Accord across the Middle East. We'll leave that for now because I think the Persians have a relatively good grasp on things. This would be further east. Yeah, same here. Instead, I think what we'll do is we'll focus a bit on the Air Force because the Air Force is, I could also do this, but I think focusing on the Air Force is going to be quite important because because of the German advances in France, we might be faced with the heavy attacks from the German Air Force, which is vastly superior to us in numbers. So we'll do this. All aircraft minus 5% production cost. So let's begin focusing on the Air Force. Now we do have a few decisions available now. So let's review what's here. Okay, so we could get some factories as well as okay. I don't want to spend the political power on that just yet. But instead, we'll be looking at a political advisor because we've got just enough to do that. So that would be a good choice. Now we don't have an extreme numbers anymore. We've got a few interesting ones. So we've got von der Minsky, who would be promoting democracy, which I think would be really great. Dolgorukov would be interesting as well for the stability and the consumer goods factories, but I think we are right on that. This would just purely be consumer goods factories. This would be political power and compliance. This would be compliance and political power as well. Construction and research. We have the Red Countess, who's been involved in certain in certain subversive activities. That would 5% research speed's also not something to sneer at. Mostly I'm interested in Sikorsky, to be honest, because that would further reduce the fighter production cost. So as much as I would like to have Fundaminsky as a promoter of democracy, I think Sikorsky is more important right now. So that's another 10% of the production cost. So now we should be, how many fighters are we building? 2 a day right now, and that's from the I-185. That is not an awful lot, but we still got some ways to go in terms of production efficiency as well. Okay, lastly, we've sunk a few more convoys in the Atlantic, and even German convoys at this point are not safe from our submarines. How are our numbers? I don't think we've lost a submarine in the Atlantic, short of us actually moving through the contested waters here. So that's actually quite positive. Right, last action for today. We are breaking through. We're breaking through and clearing out the remaining encircled divisions here, and I will risk using the infantry from the north as well to help with this. We are short on resources. What are we short on? Rubber. Okay. Yes, we would be. We are going to need additional rubber, and we are building refineries. So for one, I'll leave the one rubber, but I might prioritize the construction of the refineries up here. Then that should sort it out. I don't want to start necessarily trading for rubber just yet. We will see. Instead, we build more of the refineries for domestic production. Albania is asking for a non-aggression pact. I am happy to accept that for the time being, and we have another decision available. The Baltic Sea mines, the 25. Actually, I'm not going to spend that right now because I think we have some. Yes. So Ungarn Sternberg, who is leading the 5th Army of Specialists, could be. We could give him the ambusher, but I think infantry expert's the better choice. Yeah. So that is just attack on the special forces, and we will be starting to give out medals at some point, but not just yet. So while we're clearing out the last positions there, Cherbourg has been cut off, and Paris is at threat of being encircled. But for now, France yet stands. Okay, Naval Department has been completed, and I did say that we are going to need to invest in encrypting our communications. So let's form the cryptology department. Little joke aside, for the longest time, I thought this was the form department, as in the department that makes forms that you fill out. It never occurred to me that it means I am forming the department, as in I am creating the department of cryptology. So, yeah, that's one of those things. In my head, this was because of the symbol, right? There's a form. So it's like, yeah, it's the form department. It's the department of forms. It's the one that makes paperwork. Oh well, back to more serious matters, where the last remnants of the enemy troops are now fighting their final stand, and I think with that we have won. There we go. With that, we have won a major battle in the Ukrainian front. A total of 140,000 men, mostly Ukrainian and Austrian, have surrendered, and with that surrender, we have secured. I think we have secured the Eastern Front. I don't think they have the means anymore to break through this. It looks like Guderian has moved his tank divisions off the lines as well, so I don't see them anymore. It's just okay. So they have abandoned the lines. I think Germany has given up on Ukraine, which means that next episode we can activate Drostovsky's 8th, which has been just resupplying in the past months and helping with the defense. With the complete removal of the Guderian's tank armies for now, I think the Ukrainian front has been given up, and the Reichspakt might be going on to a more defensive stance in the east. So our objective, once we've broken through here, remains to shorten the lines, possibly all the way towards Königsberg, maybe Warsaw, but that would be an aggressive one. But even before that, if we can take Brest-Litovsk, deal with liberate Belarus, and potentially Lithuania as well. So that would be a good defensive line to hold against the Reichspakt, and maybe in the south all the way here start moving into the Greater Austrian territory. So that will be the phase 2 target of Operation Yekaterina, and then phase 3 would be to move into the Reichspakt. But in the meantime, the big question remains: how long can the international still stand? Finland is moving on to Norway, and Sweden by the looks of it as well. So at least they're getting close to Trondheim here. So with that, I think the days of the third international experiment are at least somewhat threatened. We have helped deal with the Entente quite well through our Atlantic operations, but I think on the ground they will eventually lose, and at that point Russia needs to be ready to deal with the Reichspakt in its full might.